Howdy Connection Group leaders, happy Thursday. I hope you're doing well. Yes, I'm up here on the roof. I've got the eastern sky behind me because we're talking about Jesus coming back. And golly, is this one fun. Oh, I'm so pumped about Sunday, y'all. This is the best part of the book, the absolute best part. There's a lot of good stuff. All of it's good. But this is genuinely the best part. Now, I bet you know the words of the song, The End of the World as We Know It. I actually do kind of like that phrase because there's a little bit of truth there. This passage we're looking at, it's the end of the world, here's the catch, as we know it. As we know it. See, I told you last week, Revelation is not about the end of the world. It's about the revelation of Jesus as the master and creator and ruler of the world for all eternity. For all the world to absolutely know. There's been doubts up to this point. From this moment on, nobody doubts. Everyone knows Jesus is king. It's the end of the world as we know it. And that's exciting. So let me give you one bit of encouragement before we jump into the teaching. I really think this would be a beautiful act for us to do as a church family together. And I think you can do this with the little bitty guys. You might have to break it up some more. But certainly all of us, all of the youth teachers, I want you to do this. Adult teachers, I think this would be great for you to do this too. Before you teach anything on Sunday, number one, read this passage. Specifically, I would start at 19 and read through the end of 22. Just read it personally. You will not regret it, I promise. But as a class, don't teach through it. Just start at 19 verse 1 and go all the way through chapter 22 verse 21 and just read it over your class. And you can take turns, you can popcorn read it or whatever, but read it out loud over your class and feel that crescendo building, not only in your own soul, but it's going to happen in those around you. There may very well be some applause and some amens, and there should be, because this is the best part of the book. It's so good, man. And you can start to see these pictures unfold, man. I can, certainly when I was in Israel, but even now, I can just see the spot. Lord, you can come from right there. Right there, Jesus, come and get us. It's wide open. It says you're going to come from the clouds. There they are. We hadn't had many of them. Today's a good day for Jesus to come back. Let's go, right? Read that over your class. I do. I think that'll be a blessing to you and your group. Man, if you just want to pray good and hard after you've read that, that's a great Sunday, truly. But read through that. Here's a couple of teaching points that I think are kind of fun. And there's all sorts of good stuff there. It uses the phrase 12,000 stadia. And a lot of people go, what in the world does that mean? Thankfully, the lesson explains that. It's 1,500 miles squared. Heaven is 1,500 miles wide. It's 1,500 miles long. And it's 1,500 miles tall. It's a perfect cube. This is specifically the New Jerusalem, right? This is going to be cool. Did you know that the state of Texas is 801 miles north to south, and it's 773 miles east to west? Texas is almost a perfect square, right? This is where Tanya got it right. When I die, I hope I go to heaven, but I don't know if they let cowboys in, but if they don't, just take me home to Texas, because Texas is as close as I can get. Terrible theology there. But the Lord has prepped us Texans for the New Jerusalem, maybe better than anyone else. New Jerusalem is twice as big as Texas. We're ready for some more wide open space. But what makes heaven great? You see this all throughout the chapter. What makes heaven great is the same thing that met Hay Grove and Lake. All of the attention, even though there's all this amazing stuff going on. Streets of gold, glass sea, pearly gates, saints and angels singing and flying everywhere. All of the attention is still on Jesus. This is what makes heaven magnificent, not all that other stuff. All the other stuff is magnificent because Jesus is there. Jesus is worthy of every ounce of goodness and greatness and glory. That's actually the word that's used here in a second we're going to look at. Jesus is worthy of all that we can bring him. But it's already been prepared. In fact, Jesus told us about this. You know this from John chapter 15. This is why we have to take this passage literally. Jesus said, hey, just so you know, in my Father's house are many rooms. It's big. In my Father's house are many rooms, and I go to prepare one for you. And if it were not so, I would have told you. Jesus seemed to take it literally. We ought to take it literally too. He's coming to get us. We get to live with him. We get to live in his holy city. And yes, it's magnificent, but what's magnificent is him. And so then it says that the kings and all the nations converge. Now, I do think it's interesting in 19 and 20, Jesus has already slayed all those that have opposed him. But everybody else is forming and assembling. And it says specifically right there in verse 24 of chapter 21. By its light the nations will walk, and the kings of the earth will bring their glory into it, and the gates will never be shut by day. There will be no night there. Also a great song, by the way. They will bring glory into it and the honor of the nations. So all the glory that we've been accumulating, all the things that we think we're awesome about, whether we're Americans or Texans or Chinese or Mexicans or wherever you're from, there are things that we take glory in and we revel in, things that just we've accumulated. It says we're going to bring all of that and give it to Jesus. And then he's going to give us a crown, and we're going to give it right back to him too, because he is worthy of all of the glory. Because he's the king of the universe, y'all. It's so real. I can't wait. This is great. And then I love how it ends in chapter 22. Behold, I am coming quickly. And then John uses this wonderful word, Maranatha, which means, yes, Lord, come. That word Maranatha was actually one of the words that the early church used all the time in relation to one another. They would greet one another. Not everybody was shalom. They would still use shalom for sure. But there were lots of Gentiles too, and so they kind of needed their own word because shalom wasn't quite as meaningful. And so the word they would use, Maranatha. And Maranatha simply means, yes, Lord, come. Behold, I am coming quickly. And the response is, yes, Lord, come. That ought to be our heart's cry all the time, every single day. Jesus, we want you to come. And Jesus, you're the thing that we're longing for more than anything. You are what we desperately want. We want to be with you in your city. Not just your city because your city's great. We want to be with you. Jesus, if you lived in the desert on top of the roof of the church where it's nothing but hot, but you're there, that's where I want to be. Jesus, come. In the early church, when they were facing persecution, they were facing problems, they were facing poverty and destruction and all kinds of hardship, they would just use that phrase with one another, Maranatha. He's coming. He's coming. Take hope and encouragement in that, and let that be your cry, Maranatha. Yes, Lord, come. So onward to the prize before us. Soon his beauty will behold. Soon the pearly gates will open, and we will tread the streets of gold. Because when we all get to heaven, what a day of rejoicing that will be. And when we all see Jesus, we'll sing and shout the victory. Church family, I love you dearly. This journey through D6 has been so much fun. I can't wait for us to study this together on Sunday, and I really, really, really can't wait until we really are sitting at the actual, literal feet of Jesus worshiping together. But in the meantime, be encouraged. In the meantime, Maranatha. I love you guys.